How much can you learn from Masterclass? Well, for the next 2 weeks, I'm going to take one Masterclass each day and see just how much I can pick up, varying from practical skills to theoretical knowledge. After 2 weeks, I will tell you whether or not Masterclass is worth it as a prestige online educational video platform. And I will give a tier list of the 14 Masterclasses I took ranked, which I selected based on popularity as well as covering a wide breadth of topics. And now I'm off to start with a Masterclass that I hope will help me in the next 13, Matthew Walker's Science of Sleep. After learning how to sleep, I went off into practical courses and hobbies I found interesting, like chess with Kasparov, ballet with Misty Copeland, tennis with Serena Williams, and climbing with Alex Honold and Tommy Caldwell. I learned basketball from Steph Curry and cooking from Gordon Ramsey, but I also took the time to take some courses that were more theoretical, like mathematical thinking with Terence Tao, acting with Natalie Portman, and the art of storytelling by Neil Gaiman. I learned to appreciate wine from James Suckling and game design from Will Wright. And now I'm going to go through the courses I took day by day, rank them, compare them against each other, say super mean things and super nice things about them. Yeah, let's get into it. All right, so what did I learn here? How did these courses change me, aside from making my hair way shorter? Let's start with Matthew Walker's Science of Sleep, my day one course. I think this course was pretty good overall. I learned quite a bit, super practical stuff I could put into action right away. Unfortunately, a lot of the information was available everywhere else, like on websites where he's done interviews, in podcasts, obviously in his book, but I expect expensive courses on Masterclass to be more exclusive and have stuff that you can't just find anywhere, and I think this kind of failed that check. A lot of the information is just super available, so although he had a great passion for the topic and the information was very practical and useful, I would give it about a B because the exclusivity was missing. Day 2 was Garry Kasparov teaching chess, and he's possibly the greatest chess player ever, definitely one of the greatest, and surely this course was amazing stuff you can't get anywhere else, right? Wrong. Straight in the F column. Like, this was a terrible course. I think the worst course on the website probably. It is super long and bloated. Information difficulty ranges so crazily. Like, there's some stuff for complete beginners who don't really know how to play chess, some stuff for super advanced players, but all that ends up happening is you have a super long course that doesn't target anyone, where you're wasting most of your time watching it no matter what your skill level is. And he does show some passion for the game. Like, it's obviously he loves chess and he's kind of invested in it, but he also ended up making another masterclass on his own website, which is cheaper, longer, and he says is way, way better. So even by his own admission, this is not even the best Garry Kasparov masterclass on the internet. Like, why would it be a good course in a vacuum? I think this was a terrible course. F. Day 3 was Ballet and Technique by Misty Copeland, and honestly, this was a very fun course for me. Maybe if you have more ballet experience, you would think what I thought of the chess one, or you wouldn't have enjoyed it as much, but I genuinely learned some cool stuff about ballet. I enjoyed doing the exercises, and I found it was very beginner friendly. Again, it's probably not too advanced, but I think these courses targeting beginners is fine. It was a very good intro to ballet, and she also gave lots of cool insight into the history of her career, challenges she's faced as a black ballet artist, lots of cool stuff that you can't really find necessarily in other places. So I liked it overall. I would give this one a B as well, though. It wasn't like amazing, but it was definitely a good course and I enjoyed it. Day 4 was Serena Williams, and honestly not a fan of this course. Maybe it's a bias that I've some tennis experience and I don't really have ballet experience, so I like something where I'm just learning all this new stuff, and when it's a beginner focused course that I kind of know the beginner stuff, I don't enjoy it as much. But I do think the ballet course also went over beginner stuff much better, and in this course it was kind of, I don't know, something was missing. I wouldn't give it an F. It wasn't offensively bad, and there's no better version of the course somewhere online, but the technique covered isn't covered that in depth. It just felt very, very shallow. So no, not a fan of that one. Now, day 5 was Chris Voss teaching the art of negotiation, and this is a spectacular course, really. Like, I learned something in every 6 minutes. I was writing notes. This was an amazing, amazing course, and the art of negotiation might sound like something that doesn't affect day-to-day life too much, or it's a very useful course. It's just about talking to people and relationships in general. Huge fan of this course. I would give it an S, I think. Could be A, S, somewhere in that territory, but I would give it an S for sure. That was an amazing course. Next was climbing with Alex Honold and Tommy Caldwell, and honestly, this was a pretty decent course. I already kind of climbed a bit before as a hobby, and I learned some stuff for sure from this course. but I would say that a lot of it you could find online just by doing some basic research. And yeah, they were just basically trying to get newcomers into the hobby of rock climbing, which again isn't a bad thing. It's just there's not that much exclusive content on there. Like a lot of what they're talking about is in, I don't know how many documentaries there are about these guys, but it was pretty good and definitely fun, and you can learn some stuff. I would put it at like the lower end of a B. Again, it was not like spectacular, but it definitely wasn't bad, and I enjoyed it and learned some stuff that I went straight to the rock climbing gym and put into use right away. So I'd give it a low B. Next was Steph Curry teaching basketball, shooting, and dribbling, and this was probably the best execution of a sports-based masterclass I could think of. Obviously, you can't target it towards super advanced people, kind of defeats the purpose of the platform, but it was very good content for beginners. Like, the drills he went over were super, super valuable. He went super in depth into how to actually just progress. Like, he gave progressions from complete beginner to like what to do as you get more skilled, how to make drills harder, and showing like his actual routine, what drills he does. It might be that basketball is a bit easier to teach because it's the same fundamental skills, just constantly scaling up. So it's not as hard as, say, ballet to just teach to complete beginners. But I thought this was the best possible execution of a basketball course. I would give this a solid A. Enjoyable course, and he walked through his stuff very well, what he does and how to get there. Next was game design with Will Wright, who designed The Sims, Spore. Clearly, he knows a thing or two about game design, and obviously game design is especially something that most people won't have too much knowledge about going into it, so it has to be super beginner oriented. That being said, he did, get into a lot of cool stuff about the industry, his experiences, and some theory, game design theory. It was pretty good. I would give it a B. Not a lower end B, probably one of the better ones. He loves game design. He's passionate about it. He really conveys to the watchers how to get into game design, and both the professional aspects of it and the theoretical aspects of it. So I thought it was pretty enjoyable and pretty educational. Now, wine appreciation with James Suckling. I expected this course to be pretentious and to completely suck. It was pretentious, but it didn't completely suck, honestly. It was pretty decent. I never really looked at anyone who's into connoisseurship, as he called it, or basically like a super in-depth knowledge of something like wine or like some obscure field. Again, this didn't seem like it would be that applicable or that interesting, but it was a very cool look at this deep passion that him and his community have for wine. I actually thought it was pretty interesting, even though I don't know if I learned that much about actually appreciating wine. It was still really fun to watch as more of like a documentary on wine appreciation, and maybe if I get more into wine, I'll have a rewatch and I'll apply some of the stuff he talks about. But yeah, it's not that applicable. Pretty interesting overall. I'd give it a solid B. Okay, mathematical thinking with Terence Tao was pretty hyped up, and I saw a lot of people on Reddit who were like, this is the best course ever. I didn't think it was that great, but I definitely thought it was good. He goes over mathematical concepts in a very beginner-friendly way, uses lots of fun demonstrations, and basically goes through the idea of thinking about the world in mathematical terms in a very, very easy to digest way. So I thought it was fun. He had a super lot of passion for talking about math and sharing it. So it was pretty interesting, but I didn't learn a lot that I could take away or apply or whatever. But I do think it was very good for beginners, and I would give it a high B. Yeah, probably a high B. Okay, it's not letting me. There you go. High B. After that was Neil Gaiman teaching the art of storytelling, and this masterclass is a masterpiece. Like, it is so fun to watch, just enthralling. It's so engaging, and the stuff he's talking about, it's a bit subjective. Storytelling, it's not as practical as teaching basketball, obviously, or even something like negotiation, where there's these steps you can take, here's what you do. It's more general, it's more wisdomy, but it felt so amazing to watch. It's so entertaining. He's so wise. I love this course. I say this was worth the entire 14-day experiment. I would say this is my favorite masterclass, probably. I liked his books before, Neil Gaiman's, and I love, after hearing him speak, I just want to hear him speak more. I feel like I learned so much, and yeah, take this masterclass. If you decide to take any masterclass, take this one. Day 12 was cooking with Gordon Ramsay. Now, this is one of the most advertised masterclasses, and I would say this is the most masterclass. What do I mean by that? Well, the content's kind of diluted. It's all these weird personal stories about how to be successful, how I became successful. Not that super in-depth information about actually cooking. Just kind of him showing some basic stuff is literally like the essence of Masterclass is put into this Gordon Ramsay cooking Masterclass. I feel like I didn't learn that much, and a lot of his stories are already out there in other forms, so I don't think it was a very good one. I would give it a C. Yeah, that was a C for me, but again, like this Masterclass was like literally the essence of all the mediocre Masterclasses that exist, where it's just a super experienced guy vaguely going over some of the basics and not giving you that much insight, and then some kind of stories about their personal life and their journey, but it wasn't as really interesting or motivational as some of the other ones. So yeah, C for me. After that, I did Ninja's streaming Masterclass, which was a new one at the time, and I did a video about that. You can check it up here, I'll say it. Okay, check it out. Oh wait, I'm in the bottom. Okay, never mind. Check it out up there, like all the way up. Anyways, this Masterclass, I was a bit harsh on it in that video, honestly. I said it was terrible, don't buy it, no matter what. If you already have Masterclass and you're looking at like through the stuff like a hobby, like, oh, I'm gonna do all these Masterclasses, yeah, you can probably learn some stuff from it, but I would not rate this very highly. Like it was so watered down, and yeah, it felt so censored and boring and not insightful and basic and covered by like there's so many YouTube videos about the stuff he talks about in this one, so I would skip this one. Low C, not an F. There is some value there for people who are looking for a new hobby, but it's like just go on YouTube, just type in like how to stream on YouTube, and there's all this stuff about, you know, what camera you need and how to download OBS. That's literally in you know what, just I don't like that one. Finally, I ended with Natalie Portman teaching acting. This for me was like a low B, maybe a high C. She's cool. I like Natalie Portman, and she talks about some cool insights. The problem is, well, maybe it's not her fault, but this one just felt so hard to apply. I mean, obviously, like I'm not like acting in my day-to-day life, but the character work and the stuff she talks about, it didn't seem like it was like that theoretical based. It was more just about like what works for her and what she likes to do, and it was cool. And I like Natalie Portman, so I enjoyed it. But overall, for everyone, I don't think this is like a great Masterclass. Oh, you must watch Natalie Portman. You'll learn so much about being an actor. It was pretty general and vague, kind of like the Gordon Ramsay one. Nothing super specific or insightful. I think her personal stories were a bit better and more entertaining than Gordon Ramsay's. I would say a low B for her. Okay, so now that I've given my ratings of the classes I took, I want to give my overall impression of the platform as a whole. Like, who's it for? Going in, I was pretty skeptical about Masterclass. It seemed like it was just celebrities basically blathering on about, you know, really general vague stuff, not giving too much actual instruction, and it's like a waste of time. And honestly, to some degree, it was like that, but Masterclass is for someone. It's for someone like me, or someone who wants to do what I just did, you know, try out a whole range of things and look for inspiration in all these different areas and find fun new hobbies and, you know, learn all these little tidbits. I think it's for someone like that. If you want to learn something really specific, you want to get better at basketball, don't get Masterclass to learn from Steph Curry how to play basketball. There's way better basketball resources that are available for free. But if you want to like try out all this stuff, and emphasis on try out, because, you know, after I signed up for these classes, I also went out and, you know, I appreciated wine. I played tennis. I went and I climbed and I climbed and I climbed, and yeah, I got to the top. But yeah, try stuff out, do a whole range of things, find things that are inspiring to you. Then Masterclass actually has a pretty good selection for you. But yeah, if you're just looking for specific chess instruction, this is the worst. Like, this is the worst place to go if you want to get better at chess. And it's more expensive than way better resources. Like, do not come here for chess. But yeah, thank you so much for watching today. If you have like any suggestions on similar services to try out or other stuff you want me to do, just let me know in the comments. I'm always reading them. Thank you so much for watching today. Peace.